She's like getting tangled up in the cords over here because she's not settling. Anyway, well, I'm ready whenever you are because I am
All
tired
right.
and I have to go take care of the pets again after this. I gotta go walk this idiot.
No, yeah, well, I'm trying to get a nap in too. So,
Oh, okay, we got this.
all right. Hello and welcome to Wands and Fronds, the weekly podcast where we cover magic, herbalism, and more. I'm Nick,
And I'm Shannon.
and we are your co-hosts. And this week, we're leaning into the and more segment. I'm going to be talking about, loosely speaking, warrior magic, and a little bit about Bellona, the Roman goddess of war. But
Go Bellona.
in the style of a mid 2010s BuzzFeed listicle. How fun.
Woo! And I'm talking about a plant that like Bellona's priestesses loved, Belladonna. And this has been a fun one because there Nick and I were talking about this before the show. There's that fun balance between wanting to talk about the plant and then also being like, yeah, but we should be responsible. And this is one that like still kills people. But also fun facts. I have Belladonna as part of one of my tattoos, and I'm like, we're posting the YouTube videos now, so I guess I can kind of like finagle this so people that like go and watch the video can see. So it's part of my Nightmare Before Christmas tattoo, but it is 100% the Belladonna flowers and berries. So I do love her. I love her, but you gotta respect her, and we'll talk about that, I guess.
Righto. Well, before we dive into all of that juicy goodness, when did you feel the magic this week?
God, this has been a crazy week. I have been going slowly feral because my partner has been in Salt Lake City for Sundance. But I think for me, it's really been like a very magical pet time. So like we did some pet sitting for our neighbors, and I got to spend some time with like two other dogs that I don't always see. You can hear my dog huffing because she's in the room with me right now. And I don't know, there's something about just like bonding with other people's pets that makes me feel like a truly powerful magical person.
Oh, no doubt. Like, I love when I go to a random person's house or, like, go to someone's house for the first time and their animals are just on me.
Yeah. Yeah. I like feel like I made a special bond with one of my neighbor's dogs. And so that was my magic of the week.
So mine, I think, has to do with timing because we did have this episode planned about warrior magic. And so it's kind of been bouncing around in my head, specifically, well, we'll get into it later on, sort of which zodiac signs would win in a fight with other zodiac signs.
I'm so excited for this because Nick and I haven't like pre-shared our notes on
Yeah,
this
yeah,
one.
yeah. So, and the timing on this. So I got this note. I'll kind of hold it up. I did tear it up, but then I was like, ooh, no, I should share this with the class. And I'm going to read it aloud for you, like a poem, a little poetry reading. Okay.
Ooh.
I was going to get my little coffee this morning.
And your
And
beret.
of course. And I found this note on my door. So I'll read it for you guys. Can you shut the fuck up when you're on your balcony at 4 a.m.? You are way louder than you think you are.
Wow, someone was trying to fight with you.
Someone was trying to fight with me. But okay, so let's get into it. Let's absolutely get into this because, first of all, which sign do you think? I mean, this handwriting is giving. Like, it's very good, sort of tidy handwriting, right?
Yeah.
Um, but also the way the paper is just so loosely pulled out of a notebook, like they haven't even taken the little edges all the way off. I'm just going to show you and see this partially torn off. So you are losing a few points there. But then the fact that it was folded so neatly and then taped, it was taped up. Um,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's giving manic Virgo to me.
I,
But I mean, maybe that's just me.
no, I definitely was thinking maybe manic Virgo, but I think a Virgo, truly like a manic Virgo, would just have yelled up.
That's actually probably true because when I get mad, I get more vocal than people might realize about it. Like I'm not shy about yelling at people.
No, no, no. But I did think the timing on that was just so everything. And also, I think for everyone out there, an important thing to note is that it is Sunday when we are recording this, and so last night was Saturday night. So
Yeah. I mean, look, this might not be, I don't think we've talked about this on the podcast. When Nick and I lived together, there was a housewarming party where we got something crazy like 42 noise complaints.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was a problem. We're also loud people. Nick and I are both very loud. Um, so whatever, be forewarned. But that is hilarious. What are you thinking, zodiac sign wise?
I was thinking because of the passive aggressiveness of it all, perhaps Cancer.
Ooh, okay. That's actually very fair.
And I do have my Mars in Cancer, speaking of like fighting.
Yeah.
So I can kind of relate to that. As someone who often thinks about leaving people passive aggressive notes. Now, I've never gotten a passive aggressive note like this. We did have a neighbor one time, and I would just say I respect this so much more, but we did have a neighbor one time sort of walk up underneath our balcony and be like, "Hey, can you keep it down? I can
Yeah.
hear you through my window. No problemo, bud. I respect the fuck out of that. We'll go inside."
Yeah.
Uh,
Easy peasy.
but the note, the handwritten, but not "Can you be quieter?" And this is not like a second warning. Like they've already said something.
Yeah.
First contact. Okay, first contact. Can you shut the fuck up? I'm sorry. Can you please shut the fuck up? Like,
Yeah.
do
It's
we
like, are manners dead?
not know manners?
That's hilarious. I
Can you
mean,
shut the fuck up, please? Thank you.
please and thank you. I but I also get it because, well, my Mars is pretty sure my Mars is also in Virgo. I definitely had an incident with my neighbors once, my old neighbors who were like these college kids who were having a very loud party and left their back patio door open. And we have a courtyard where things bounce around.
Sure.
And I remember I just like walked out into the courtyard, stepped into their living room through the back door that was open, and said, "Hey, it's fucking loud," and turned around and closed their door for them. So, when I get tired, my Virgo Mars is like, "Hi, excuse me.
No, but
Hello."
really, but literally the physical walk up, the face-to-face interaction, I respect the fuck out of that.
That's true. I'm like, if you're gonna be confrontational, just be confrontational. Like,
Because I would like to know, truly, I'm like, between my two neighbors, I'm like, is it the neighbor whose dog barking wakes me up when I'm trying to sleep, for my schedule with work? Or is it the upstairs neighbor, perhaps, who seems to like vacuum their hardwood floors at 6 in the morning every day?
I mean, that's the thing about neighbors, and I'm so glad that, like, I'm friends with most of our neighbors, and those, like, college kids moved out because, oh my god, one time we share so the wall that I'm recording in front of in my bedroom, this wall is shared with another room from those former college students, and I remember at one point they had all just gotten really drunk, and we always like Eric and I always joke about their gay friend because he yelled one night at 2 a.m. It's because I'm gay. And I just remember very distinctly hearing that like through the wall. And we were just like, okay, gay friend, can you also shut the fuck up? I'm definitely a
Shannon, can you shut the fuck up,
can you shut the fuck up?
please?
Please, you're right. Because I'm also the like I beat on the wall when they wouldn't be quiet.
Yeah, and like truly, 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 no problem. Okay, I'm just literally like the
It's
note.
kind of hilarious.
It's giving. It's giving. Also, I like we're just talking. I mean, I guess we were probably being kind of loud, but I love this note. It's a beautiful poem. What do we want to do? Do we want to do Belladonna or do we want to do Battle Royale?
Let's start with Belladonna so we can like really spend some time on Battle Royale because
Oh, this is
I'm like the listicle vibe. I'm into it.
this is gonna
Um,
be so much better, I will say, than like any sort of sports bracket
oh,
that has
Hundo
ever
B.
existed.
Sports ball ain't got shit on this
Oh,
Battle Royale.
all right, let's
Um,
get into
so,
it.
so Belladonna is a heavy hitter, y'all. It's probably, I think, one of the most famous like witch herbs, and it has a very interesting history. But the name. So Atropa belladonna, right off the bat, we're getting some info, right? So Atropa comes from Atropos, the Greek fate. She's the one with the little scissors who cut the thread of life,
Of course, of course.
kind of a big deal. And then Belladonna is actually, so it's the Italian for beautiful women or beautiful woman, because there was this like fun beauty practice in Rome where people would make the Belladonna eye drops to blow out your pupils because they were like, oh, that's hot and not crazy looking. Because I guess the idea is they're like, well, yeah, your pupils dilate when you're horny. And it's like, sure, but I imagine that that's like a little bit more subtle than the belladonna blown out pupil. Maybe just me. I'm like, it feels a little crazed.
They really love that just took a bump of Molly look.
Right? They're just like, if I can see the irises, I need more. So Atropa belladonna is native to southern, central, and eastern Europe, as well as North Africa, Turkey, Iran, and the Caucasus. But it's really all over the world now. It loves like limestone soil, like really calcified soil. So even though it grows some in Britain, you're really only finding it in specific areas. And it's the same in the US. It really does need a lot of like lime, chalky soil. So that's something if you're going to grow it, which we'll talk about in a minute, to keep in mind. But again, up top, all parts of this plant are toxic. The berries are the things you really have to watch out for. But if you grow it, you also have to wear gloves when you're cultivating it because the leaves can cause like dermatitis type reactions. But the berries are the problem because they look tasty as fuck. And that's where we like run into issues, right? It actually only takes 2 berries to kill a kid. And that happens still because they're tempting and children are stupid because they don't have, that life experience thing. And the ones that try belladonna might not get any more life experience. They're also really dangerous for domesticated animals. So, like birds and cattle and stuff can eat the berries and be fine, but it will kill cats and dogs. So, if you're going to grow it, this is one that like you really have to be careful with placement. Don't just like put this out in the backyard and hope for the best, especially if you live somewhere with, maybe stray cats that wander around, things like that. So, symptoms of poisoning, we're going to go through this, include rapid heartbeat, dilated pupils, AO, delirium, vomiting, hallucinations, and ultimately death caused by respiratory failure. Fun.
Cute.
Right? So there
Also,
are
I'm looking at these berries and I would just say as a child I would try to eat these.
100%. Like they look fucking tasty. They're super shiny too, which is
Yeah,
like, oh, that can't be bad for you. It's so pretty
it's like a
because
candy.
yeah, you're an idiot child. So there I love going through I have this great book that I got from my neighbors whose dogs I was watching because I love them very much. It's called Wicked Plants: The Weed That Killed Lincoln's Mother and Other Botanical Atrocities, which is just so much fun. It's etchings and like different stories of all of these plants. And so I love this book. Like the mandrake drawing in it is really pretty. But the Belladonna section is fun because it tells a few stories, right? So first, there was this elderly woman that kept showing up like every fall. This woman would show up in the ER and she'd be really sick and she would have hallucinations. And eventually, like after a few years, the doctors are like, dude, what the fuck? Like, what is happening? Something is wrong with this lady. Because after a few days, it would just like resolve itself, right? So her daughter brought in some of the berries from this woman's hedge. And lo and behold, she had been fucking eating deadly nightshade. So lucky for this old lady, she didn't die. Um, but that could have very easily been the case. So I just love the idea of this like old lady just like showing up in the ER every year because she was snacking on her hedge berries. There's also the story of a couple that baked a pie of belladonna because they mistakenly used belladonna berries instead of bilberries, which I guess they thought looked the same. They don't look the same. Um, I feel like there's a pretty significant difference. But there's in Turkey, they did this review of like a 6-year period, and they found that 49 kids were poisoned either, moderately to death from belladonna, and primarily from eating the berries out of curiosity. Again, kids. And
Yeah.
early physicians had this really awesome recipe for an anesthetic where they would mix belladonna, henbane, hemlock, mandrake, and opium. And you hear about that and you're like, wow, it's truly shocking that early surgery didn't have better survival rates. So it does love, like, again, shady areas. It likes that chalky soil, but what does she look like? It's like you might think about where she's going to show up, but what does she look like? So it is, and give me a minute because this is a mouthful. She is a branching herbaceous perennial rhizomatous hemicryptophyte. So say that 10 times fast. It's fucking a lot. But the plants can get up to 7 feet tall. Usually they hit around 5 feet, but like she's big girl. And the leaves, they're ovate and up to 7 inches long. So I always, when I was little, imagined belladonna being a small plant. She's not a small plant. She's a big girl. So the flowers are bell-shaped and they're this gorgeous, like deep purple that have kind of a yellow-green tinge toward the base. And they flower in like July and August, and then they form the berries in September and October. And the berries are green when they're ripening, but again, they turn beautiful, shiny black. But it's important to know that the berries of the belladonna are somewhat flattened, which is kind of important if you're trying to distinguish it from its much less poisonous relative, Solanum nigrum or black nightshade, because that one has berries that are like perfectly spherical, but they have like a dull kind of finish as opposed to the super shiny luster you get with belladonna. So it's just like kind of a thing you can keep an eye on if you're trying to determine, how poisonous the poisonous thing you have is. And again, this isn't one that a lot of people grow in their gardens, for maybe obvious reasons. I hope they're obvious reasons to you at this point. But if you do want to grow it, you have to cold stratify it, right? So you can put the seeds in a small bowl of water in your fridge and just change the water every day for a couple of weeks and then plant them, because they also can get like really hard on the outside. And interestingly enough, like this is one that only has like a 40% germination rate, which is kind of low. But they found that plants that or the seeds that are at least a year old actually have higher germination rates, which, I guess weird but fun, interesting fact. So you can also plant the berries directly, but again, be careful with that because like the berries look like treats and dogs and cats dig shit up. That's kind of one of the things they're known for. It's like kind of their thing, digging things up out of the ground. And if you put a tasty little berry in there and
Yeah.
you have a curious kitty, so it likes really partial shade. You can get up into full sun, but you have to be careful because if it's in like too much direct sun, it can actually increase the level of alkaloids in it. So, be careful about where you put it because you could make a poisonous plant extra poisonous if it's getting too much sun. It's a fun one. It likes an alkaline soil though, like one with some limestone in it. So if you're growing it in a planter, one of the recommendations I saw is to actually like line the bottom of the planter with chalk or limestone to like give it that boost. But you can buy powdered limestone. People that grow roses do all sorts of crazy shit. And hydrangeas, like these people that get into growing like beautiful flowers, like really, there are so many like soil amendments you can buy. So again, belladonna, super poisonous. And why is it associated with witches? High flying ointments. It's one of those. It's one of those. It makes you trip balls. But also, I love that it's also it said that the plant belongs to the devil, right? So because the devil tends to belladonna all year, except for on Walpurgis when he prepares for the witches' Sabbath. So it's also the devil's plant, which we know historically the witches and the devil fucking, right?
Yeah, they're
Kind of
fucking,
their
they're like
thing.
that.
Yeah, they're like scissoring constantly. And I know we're going to talk about Bellona, but Bellona, the Roman goddess of war, her priestesses would drink an infusion of it before they worshipped and invoked the goddess. And yeah, it'll make you trip balls. But again, tripping balls is definitely a sign of poisoning. So be wary.
Also, I mean, apparently you just trip balls when you're about to die.
Yeah, there's some interesting correlations there. She is associated with Hecate and Circe and Bellona. But this might not shock you all. She's a Saturnian plant. Belladonna is very Saturnian. Traditionally, magically, she's associated with like astral projection, divination, things that make your brain funky. So I would say if you want to like work with it magically, this is one where I'm like, get to know the spirit of the plant. There's some people that talk about like the spirit of belladonna being like a dark-haired, dark-eyed woman. That's kind of the vibe that a lot of people get from her. And I think it's such a beautiful plant with such an interesting, rich history of use in, things like wines to make you trip balls. Of course, it's always been a popular poison, and assassins would actually like slowly give themselves very low doses of belladonna. So, like, they could use them, like, they could pretend to be food tasters and then poison people using belladonna because then they could taste it and they'd be fine because they had a little bit every day. Um, So I think, again, it's one that I'm like, maybe draw pictures of it. Like, have really cool belladonna artwork. Be near belladonna in nature if you find it, but like maybe don't grow it because most of us live in kind of urban areas with pets. And I want a poison garden. I don't know that I would grow belladonna unless I lived in the middle of nowhere, though, because pets, I'm like, human children, whatever, teach them better. But like my dog eats anything on the ground. Anything. It doesn't matter if she's supposed to or not. Like that is irrelevant
I've
when it comes.
definitely seen her eat the little seeds from something that was growing in our
Oh
building.
yeah, I forget which. There's like a tree that releases these like little berry seeds, and Willow,
Little crunchy little, yeah.
and she'll eat them, and they're not like poisonous enough to make her sick, like to kill her, but she'll eat them, and if she eats more than like two or three, she pukes. but then she'll do it again. And like, no matter what we do, we try so hard. Like, obviously, we're not just like letting our dog eat berries, but dogs that eat things they're not supposed to are fast. Like, notoriously. She just like gets in there and then they're gone. And it's like, what the fuck, Willow? So I love Belladonna. I think she's beautiful. I think she's got a gorgeous lore and a gorgeous history. And we know that witches love the devil. Witches love tripping balls on flying ointments. Some people have traditionally used it for herbal medicine, but I'm not going to recommend that. I think there are much better treatments for your IBS than Belladonna. So get you some chamomile. Also, though, it's like if you want to work with Belladonna, maybe like invoke the spirit of her, but then work with something like mugwort that kind of has similar associations and similar deity relationships, but also won't potentially kill you and your kitties. So, my sources today. Obviously, Wicked Plants. The Poison Path Herbal. I love it. Bacoby Michael. Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Herbarium. Wikipedia. The Federal Drug Enforcement Agency has some interesting stuff on belladonna. It's also illegal to grow belladonna in parts of the world. Just fun facts. So if you're not one of our US listeners, check that out. There's a lot of really fun lore about it, though. So if you want to like go down a rabbit hole about a plant, I think belladonna is a fun one. But I'm keeping it like kind of short and sweet today because this is what I struggled with, where I think it's fascinating, but I also really want to make sure as like an herbalist and as people on a podcast that we're being responsible about the information that we provide and like things that we talk about. Because I don't want y'all to poison yourselves. I know you're smart, but there are lots of not smart people, and maybe some not smart people listen to this once in a while. And I don't want them to go rub themselves down with belladonna because they want to try an old school flying ointment.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. Be careful. She's pretty, but respect. Mad respect.
Well, I do love when we get to talk about poisons, though.
Me too. Me too. I love it. I really want a poison garden. And if I get my old Victorian house in the middle of nowhere, then yeah, I'll probably grow some belladonna in like a secluded, fenced off part of my yard that my dog's not allowed in. Because
and you'll just, throw the dead squirrels over the fence.
Exactly. Get rid of them. I don't want the animals to eat them and then get poisoning. But yeah, also belladonna really makes me think of practical magic.
No, truly. That's like, yeah. Also, we should just buy that house. Like, we should just pitch in.
You're right. This is obviously the answer that I don't know. It's the most obvious thing that I don't know why we haven't talked about before.
We'll just pitch in and buy the practical magic house.
Yeah. Casual.
Super cash. Okay. So, bit of a combo segment today, because when I was doing my research about Bellona, if you kind of filter out all of the really great sort of Renaissance paintings and motifs, which has nothing to do with her as a goddess, this isn't an art history podcast. Y'all wish.
Oh my God. Can I just say, I've tried listening to art history podcasts, and there's something that's really difficult about talking about art in an audio medium.
Yeah.
Challenging for
truly.
me.
Yeah. But no, so Bellona was the Roman goddess of war. And I mean, Rome went to war a lot.
Yeah, it was like kind of their thing.
They were like really into it. Okay, but the sort of devoted wife of Ares, the god of war.
Can I just say the ovaries of steel it takes to just like fuck with Ares regularly?
Well, that is the thing. Is it not? Because, okay, so there's sort of 7 documented sites that they sort of identify with the worship of Bellona. One of which as far away from Rome as York, England.
Wow. That's a bit of a hike.
So like one of their main churches, I believe it's called St. James's Cathedral in York. Do not quote me on that. Is built on sort of the site of the old Bellona temple. Um, but so they do there is one in Rome as well. And actually, even the devotees of Bellona were kind of scared shitless of her. It was not, like sort of do the right thing and you'll be rewarded, sort of that kind of temperament. Just really kind of seen as unstable.
I mean,
Uh,
her priestesses did just like poison themselves for fun.
and I mean, trigger warning, self harm, but they would cut their arms and legs until they bled.
So they had a blood play kink.
Yeah, definitely they were doing like blood play. But yeah, so like even the people who kind of worship Bellona were sort of scared shitless of her. Um, I mean, obviously the Roman Empire spread throughout the known world at the time, so in that way, it seems like they were successful, in petitioning her for some victories, but it even still was kind of seen as unstable and sort of unattached to her
Maybe
followers.
a bit unhinged.
Maybe a bit unhinged. Um, but yeah, I think sort of the main interesting bit I could find about Bologna was that people were literally like giving themselves like hundreds of little cuts. So they were just bleeding everywhere. And that was one of the like main sacrifices they would do in her honor. So
Cool. Cool,
uh
cool, cool.
but also I think, in a world that's kind of constantly at war in some form or another, it's not really something we want to glorify
No.
in 2023. So, I don't think this is really a deity that people are like just champing at the bit to work with.
Yeah.
Um, so moving on. Battle Royale time. Okay.
I'm so pumped for this. Y'all, when Nick texted me yesterday about this, I was like, oh my God, yes, this is gonna be so much fun.
So what I do want to say is that kind of going into this, I did have this idea about sort of the warrior spirit. I feel like this was sort of meant to be kind of an episode going into the new calendar year, which we are a few weeks behind because holidays, blah 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 blah. So this is kind of coming out more towards the end of January. But I think kind of the idea is that, as witches, something that we can take from that culture is really like the self-discipline. I have no self-discipline. But
Yeah.
there is sort of this common thread when you're like doing that as a job, I guess, as an occupation, where it's really about like just paring everything down to the essentials and really just like having that focus and that self-discipline and just like like
Yeah. From your very ADHD podcast hosts. We're
right.
both of us, I think, have that fun ADHD tendency to, not be so good at the focus unless it's hyper focused on something that's irrelevant to like your day job.
Right. But I think aspirationally, I think that is
Yeah.
good energy. I also think, witchcraft is political. War is political. I think, that there is something to sort of knowing what you would fight for.
Oh yeah. I think
Um,
that that's a really good point, and I love I love this for you as an Aries.
yeah,
With a
and
again, your Mars and Cancer, Nick's like soft boy Martian placement as a Mars ruled sun sign.
yeah,
I love it.
we're out here. All right, we're struggling. We're
You're
struggling.
you're leaving passive aggressive notes on people's doors.
Oh my god. Hold on. I'm just gonna read this one more time. It really is just the most beautiful poem that's ever been written. Shakespeare could never. Let's see. Okay. Can you shut the fuck up when you're on your balcony at 4 a.m.? You are way louder than you think you are.
Anyway, sorry. This is also really rabbit traily today, guys. I'm like my speaking of ADHD, my brain has been not behaving this weekend. So forgive me.
Well, I think we're all kind of feeling it. You know, it's like Leo new moon. I vibe with it, but also I'm just kind of like I'm tired, y'all. So sleepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But okay. So kind of going into the battle royale segment because I thought it would just be fun not to glorify combat, but to really let my Aries sun loose. So this is the concept I came up with. So before we get into it, I did want to talk about some cool mythological weapons too. So I think or like weapons, powers, you know. So I did want to say I think an underrated one is Pan's sort of blood-curdling scream.
Oh my God.
Um
Yes.
so it was said that Pan did a scream, and the entire Persian army panicked and ran away. So that's a really sort of effective way to win a battle.
I mean, I love it. And a good like modern American association with that is like the Carolina Banshees, which it's like this cryptid that's said to have a terrifying scream, but most people are like, it's probably panthers. Y'all Google a panther screaming. It sounds like a woman being murdered.
Oh my god, but also yeah, it's like this sort of like primordial scream.
Yeah, and I can see like because you can imagine that Pan's scream is like that times like 100.
Right, right,
And I'm
right.
like, a panther screaming would make me piss myself if I was
Right.
like alone. So I'm like, yeah, pan scream, fucking horrifying.
And pan is the root of panic, the word, the idea. So an underrated, the anxiety of it all. Um, Anxiety as a weapon, love that.
Oh my
Um,
God, as a Virgo, I'm crying.
I did want to talk about sort of an iconic one too, though, which is Poseidon's trident. So we're controlling storms, we're controlling the sea, we're controlling sea creatures, which is a little Aquaman, but um, Aquaman, I think, is supposed to be sort of like related to Poseidon, or like Poseidon was an Aquaman, like in the made up story of Aquaman. Um, anyway, Trident, yeah. Ariel's dad. It's a cool weapon.
Yeah.
Sort of
I mean,
the pitchfork of the sea.
yeah. I love it. And I think that like on the other side of that is like the Bident. Are you going to talk about Hades' Bident?
Well, no, 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 because I was gonna say, um, so the same maker of, there's Poseidon's trident, Pluto's helmet, and Zeus's lightning bolts all come from the
Mm,
same maker.
yeah.
Um, so I mean, a helmet isn't really a weapon. I think that's sort of the concept there of people are out to get you. You want a little protection,
Yeah. Fair.
but
Fair.
also the lightning bolts. Let's just talk about like how OP is that? Like dude can just throw lightning bolts because he's like the sky god. But like truly, do you need that?
I mean, but if you can, why not?
If you can, why not? I did, although, not really warfare, but Artemis and Apollo's bows and arrows.
Ooh, yes. We all love a twink elf.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Twinkie elf vibes. Also, I mean, the huntress wizard herself,
Yeah.
Artemis, would not want to go against her.
No.
Because I feel like with the hunting skills, that's like stealthy, that's like ambush vibes. Like, you are not gonna know that she is after you until there is an arrow sticking out of your back.
Right? I mean, I'm like also on like the non-Greek side, Mjolnir.
I was gonna talk about Mjolnir.
Oh,
Yes.
good, good.
Because we absolutely have to. The freaking hammer.
The fucking hammer. But I do like that, especially in Norse mythology, and of course this makes sense. It's like Mjolnir is like a weapon, but also used to like consecrate and provide blessings because it's like such a warrior people.
Oh yeah. Well, and then it's like, all the jewelry. But also, I do love a hammer as a weapon. Like people who had literal swords and battle axes, like their greatest
Yeah.
hero that they look up to uses a hammer.
A
A
hammer.
hammer.
A big ass hammer that was created when Loki challenged some fucking like dwarves to make the most intense like cool shit they could because Loki.
Um, but yeah, so some very iconic weapons from mythology. And also, I do want to say sort of like Perseus's mirror shield.
Mm, yeah. I mean, also like big ups to Medusa just being a weapon.
Yeah, yeah,
Like gotta love a woman who is a weapon because rapist should be turned into stone statues and shattered.
yeah.
Fair.
I
Seems
think that I
fair.
think that's super fair. I do think that's super fair. Um, although it's sort of like Medusa being a weapon after her untimely demise, just kind of using her head for its magical properties as a weapon.
Right? It's interesting. It's almost like that poor woman just continued to be
Just
used.
leave my girl alone.
Y'all back the fuck off of Medusa. Let her rest. She needs a nap. I think that like the idea of mythological weapons is so interesting too, though, because it's like so often I love the idea that so often in lore and mythology too, it's like ultimately part of the lore is like the weapons being lost,
Yeah.
which I love. I do love the idea that these amazing weapons eventually just like kind of get, lost track of after a while because gods, they're just like us. Where did you put the keys?
um no, but then it kind of getting into like Lu's sword is like a pretty iconic weapon, like almost Excalibur vibes.
Yeah, definitely Excalibur vibes for sure.
Excalibur, of course, being completely fictional, fictional versus mythological. I mean, that's really kind of one of those like
Potato, potato.
potato. But I do love the Excalibur vibe and kind of going into the fiction of it all. One of my favorite fictional sort of weapons is, I think, do you want to guess what I'm going to say?
Oh my God. Do I want to guess what you're going to say? I'm like, I have to think about this now because I was not prepared. I mean, if you're not going to say Excalibur, because I love the Sword and the Stone telling, the
Oh yeah.
fucking
Oh yeah.
cartoon with like gay wizard. Um, Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, here's what I will say. It's from the Magicians, and it is,
Oh my god, it's what's her face's axes.
yeah, Sorrow and Sorrow.
Sorrow and Sorrow. Um, oh my god, why am I blanking? Because her name is different in the book and it's stupid.
Janet.
Janet. I hate that her name is Janet in
I
the
mean,
book.
Margot is a cooler name. Margot is
Margot is cooler.
Margot Hansen is a cooler name than Janet Plachinsky or
But
whatever.
I love the way in the show they like do the very like traditional mythological journey for her to get the axes.
Yes,
Like
yes.
that's really fun. Um like her axes are badass. Like
I
they're really cool.
but I do kind of love there's like this quip. She goes through all of this stuff and then it turns out it was a hoax. So then she just kills the main guy out in the desert.
Yeah. I love, and I've got to look it up, but the death helm. So ACOTAR readers in the newest book, A Court of Silver Flames, that is told from the perspective of Nesta, the very cruel oldest sister. She gets this really cool weapon that's like a death helm that lets her raise the dead who become like her soldiers,
Oh,
which
so
I love.
she's a necromancer.
Yeah, it's like one of these things where there's like multiple like I think it's like three different weapons that were all kind of like crafted, and when you put them together, in traditional mythology way, when their powers are combined, you kind of
Mhm.
become unstoppable. But then there's also in the original ACOTAR series, like the first three, there's Truth Teller, which is Azriel's knife, and then you find out that the sword that's paired with it is in Crescent City, and those blades are like super badass and very cool. So, I mean, just like some modern fiction, again, if we're like talking magicians, I actually do like some of the stuff that Sarah J. Maas does with weapons, particularly in Crescent City, because whatever, unpopular opinion, I love Crescent City more than the ACOTAR series because I think Bryce is an infinitely more interesting heroine. So at me, whatever. I love Bryce, and Rune Dannon is my literary boyfriend. So
Cute. Okay, but no, the quip, I just really quickly, the quip that Margot does, where she tells the story of how she got the axes, and she's like, oh, you know what I call this one? Sorrow. You know what I call the other one? Sorrow. They're identical. I can't tell them apart.
I do. I love that. It's if y'all haven't read The Magicians, please read it and then watch the show because the last season of the show, like whatever, you don't have to because they did a weird thing at the end of the penultimate season where they did something that was way off book. But the show is still, I think, very much worth watching.
It's very, I mean, it's still good, but
Yeah,
it's still good. But read those books, honey.
yeah, they're so good and they're quick. It's like I have mine are all like damp from reading in the bath because I'm like they're a great bath read.
Oh, iconic.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into it. Sort of our NCAA bracket style battle royale.
Yeah, look at us being sporty spice over
Oh,
here.
we're so sporty spice. We're having a battle royale, and it's gonna be all of the zodiacs versus their sister signs. We're gonna discuss the merits of each, and we're gonna bracket them up. We're going to bracket them up.
Yeah. And
So
full moon babies, welcome to our entire existence.
truly, truly. No, and this I thought was kind of like, again, maybe this is coming across as a BuzzFeed listicle,
But whatever, it's fun.
whatever, it's fun. I'm a
I
millennial. I eat shit like that up.
Yeah, and I
Mm.
cannot wait. I swear to God, if y'all do not give us your opinions on this, I'm gonna be so disappointed in you because this was made to interact with. Nick, you should write like we should draw out the bracket and post it on our stories so people can like
Absolutely,
get into
absolutely.
it. Oh my God, this is
So
fun.
I think starting with first sign of the zodiac, moi. So Aries versus Libra.
Okay, this feels I'm gonna can I give my opinion?
I no, yeah, you're supposed to. You're supposed to.
Okay, good. I feel like this one is tricky because I think that in a straight out fight, Aries wins, but I think Libra would poison the water that you were drinking before the fight.
I also okay, but here's my thing too. I do think Libra would fight dirty.
Yeah, Libra seems like an underhanded bitch, and I love that for her.
I do love that for her, but here's what I will also say because I feel the same way about Taurus. I think if it came down to like that Venusian energy, if you were to go for someone a Libra loved,
Oh yeah.
they would not hold back and you would know that they are sister signs with Aries.
Yeah.
But if we're doing a cage match, I think Aries wins.
Yeah, I think that that's the thing. If we're looking at this just as a straight out cage match, definitely Aries. IRL, if we're talking about having like the long game, I think Libra is going to fucking take you out by like death by 1,000 cuts. She's
Death
going to
by a thousand
Bellona
cuts.
you.
I think if we bring motivation into it, because I think Aries talks a lot about fighting.
Yeah, I've met you.
One of my most used phrases is "Do you want to fight me?" But also, I cannot stay mad longer than like 3 minutes because I have ADD. And also, the threat of fighting really is all the release that I need.
Yeah. And that's fair. That's very fair.
So for this one, I do say I'm inclined to say Aries wins. I would also say an Aries moon.
Oh, yeah.
I would not fuck with an Aries moon. They can get mean.
I mean, look, we've talked about my favorite short king, the Gemini with the Aries fucking moon, Killian Murphy,
Oh yeah.
could
Oh
murder
yeah.
you. I
Could murder
believe that
you.
he could murder you. And
Could
I would
murder you.
love every last second of my life. But yeah, it's a terrifying combination.
Okay, so Taurus, Scorpio.
Okay, so I know that Scorpio is traditionally a Mars sign, but
Right.
as someone who is married to a person with their Mars and Taurus, and I have my Mars and Virgo, my vote is actually on Taurus here because I think Scorpio is a long game murderer. Like, I think Scorpio is an assassin in the night, but I think that the bull in a fucking cage match is gonna gouge your fucking eyes out.
Oh, I 100% have my money on Taurus too.
Yeah,
As someone with a lot of family members who are Tauruses, I wouldn't fuck with those people, y'all.
no, no. I do love though that my Eric being a Taurus Mars and me being a Virgo Mars, anytime we are like in public, we'll just yell, "We're fighting now." And we're never actually fighting because we like just talk through stuff heatedly. Um but we do if you've ever been in public around me and Eric, we've started doing this thing in the last 2 years where we're just like, "Are we fighting? We're fighting now." When we have any sort of disagreement, and it's very fun. But yeah, Taurus, those bull's horns are gonna gore you.
Yeah, no. Hundo P. Hundo P. So that does bring us to Gemini Sag.
This one I was thinking was gonna be the hardest one.
Two very chaotic signs.
2 very chaotic signs, but can I just say, actually here I'm putting my money on Sagittarius.
Now, what I will say, I think Sagittarius is a lover, not a fighter. And I will also say, the Geminis I have known are all so feisty.
They're feisty, but I've so my argument here though is I feel like Sagittarius can focus up and
Mhm.
like hit you in the pain points.
Yeah.
Like that I think is the problem for Gemini because I feel like Gemini's like bouncy mercurial nature would put them at a disadvantage in a cage match. And then you've got like Sagittarius over here, which is a fucking fiery bitch.
Well,
Like,
and we also just have to talk about sort of that Sagittarian proclivity for long legs.
oh my God. Also, can I just have to say, my sister is a Sagittarius and has the best legs of our family. Morgan has the best legs for
They do.
days.
It's their thing. It's their thing. They're horse people.
Yeah. And it's true.
Um,
I've never met a Sagittarius that doesn't have gams that make me want to murder. Nick included. You and your Sag moon. Nick
oh,
has
yeah,
great legs.
I do. Thank you so much. So, and I do like a high kick. I do like a high kick. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I think Sag wins. It's a narrow victory because those
Yes. Yes.
I
They're very evenly matched.
I think they're sort of evenly matched. I think it's like have you seen that Atsuko Okatsuka special yet on HBO?
I haven't.
Anyway, so in it, she's describing a break-in that happened at her house and how her husband just did this sort of weird interpretive dance at the guy to scare him away. And I do think, sometimes coming at a situation with crazy,
It's true. Sometimes that works.
it's like on Pokemon, it's like Pikachu hurt itself in its confusion.
Yeah, I think the problem is I think Gemini could use that on a lot of other people, but not
But
Sagittarius.
not Sagittarius.
Because
Okay.
Sagittarius is like, fuck off.
All right. So we are just moving right along. Cancer v Capricorn. I think this one's pretty easy.
Capricorn.
I think Capricorn wins. Yeah, hands down. Sorry, Cancer babies. Y'all are too soft.
Yeah, you're soft boys, and we love you for it. But this isn't your arena.
No. And like it's like sorry. Like really like sorry. So that brings us to though Leo Aquarius.
My money's on Aquarius.
Now, I think so too, because I don't see Leo as much of a fighter.
I see Leo preening around the arena too much.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
Aquarius is like just coming up behind him and slitting their throat as the Leo is fucking like peacocking.
peacocking. No, because I think you do see a lot of like very fit Leos, but they're doing it to look good.
It's vanity muscle,
It's vanity muscles for sure.
not practical. And I just think that like again, Aquarius, speaking of being like a little conniving and a little underhanded, it's I think Aquarius handily takes this battle.
I agree. I agree. I also think Aquarius would train harder.
Yeah, 100%.
I think like martial arts training is one of those things that I could see an Aquarius taking it
It's
very seriously.
it's that Saturnian vibe. Like, as someone who Saturn is my chart ruler, it's that idea of like boundaries, but also understanding the long game. Like, Saturn is so good at the long game. So it's like Aquarius training is like, it's like getting to like a black belt as opposed to the Leo having good traps.
Right, right, right. Okay, so the last set here, and then I'm gonna draw up the bracket really quickly, and we're gonna do round two. We're doing the Zodiac Battle Royale. Um, Virgo and
The
Pisces.
Pisces, I think Virgo, because Virgo is ruthless. And this is the thing that I think is very true about Virgo and Pisces that I love seeing on the like astrology memes is that Virgo and Pisces are the sister signs that everyone thinks is really nice, but are actually super cold-hearted and kind of
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Um, but I just feel like, and this is from my own inner turmoil, it's like Pisces is a dreamer, Pisces gets its feelings hurt, Virgo does the hurting.
Uh, yes. No, absolutely. And like not even in a mean way, but Pisces, I just don't think has it in them.
They're another soft boy.
Like I see Pisces like in an actual fight, kind of curling up in a ball and dissociating. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like good luck winning a cage match from the astral plane or wherever it is you guys go. Um,
Right? Um, yeah. Yeah. I think that's the thing. It's like, again, Pisces is wonderful. I love my Pisces moon. This is not its arena.
no. Okay, so just a quick recap. Doing my little bracket here. My God, if Google Documents will let me. Okay, so we had Aries. Okay. Libra's out. Libra's for sure out.
Bye, girl.
So, oh my gosh. Yes, here we go. Sagittarius. Oh wait. Yeah. No. We had Taurus and
Yeah.
Sagittarius. Sag. Then Capricorn.
Yeah, all the earth signs came through, which is not surprising to me, actually.
Yeah, all the earth signs made it through. 2 out of 3 fire signs. Not bad, not bad.
No, from the lava co-hosts of this podcast.
Truly. Aquarius. And then Virgo.
Yeah.
Virgo. Am I right?
Virgo, you are right. Everyone knows that a Virgo is a lady in the streets, but a freak in the bed.
Okay, so round two. Oh, these are some interesting pairings. So that gives us Aries versus Taurus.
Oh, fuck. I'm gonna have to say, like, Aries is the god of war. I'm giving it to Aries because I think that, like, Taurus is methodical, but speaking of winning with crazy, like,
Yeah.
I think that Aries can go super sane.
Yeah. I will also say a lot of the Taurians I know in their day-to-day lives,
Our sweet
like
stoner chilies, like,
sweet chill stoners who love food and all that weed and junk food is really gonna like
slow you down.
it's gonna slow you down. So I agree. I agree. Um okay. So Aries makes it through um which gives us interestingly enough Sag versus Capricorn.
This is a hard one. So it's like, what, Jupiter v Jupiter?
I think it's Jupiter v Saturn.
Oh yeah, Jupiter v Saturn. I'm gonna have to go Capricorn on this one. Mostly
I
because I think Capricorns are mean. Capricorns are much meaner than people think.
yeah. Um what I will say is it is kind of the same as the last one. Like a lot of the Sagittarians I know are kind of like chill stoners. I don't think they've got it in them as much as a Capricorn to just fuck shit up in this cage match we're having.
Yeah, a Capricorn, I feel like, is a fight to the death type sign. Like, they're not gonna give it in.
Okay, so Sag is out. Sag is out of the ring. Which does leave us with Aquarius v Virgo.
Oh my god. Okay, why are all of my big three fighting each other? Can we just take a second? Um, you know, Okay, I feel like Aquarius would take it because they would be able to use the element of surprise on analytical Virgo.
I think so. Also, I mean, my thing with Virgo is that they would be a little lost if things did not go according to their plan.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and that is my life, but also I think the chaos energy of Aquarius is really like getting at that Achilles heel of the Virgo. Because I
Okay,
know it's like I know Aquarius is Saturnian, but we also all know they're aliens. So
so final three. I guess I didn't really think about this as a bracket. But fuck it. We'll say Aries moves to the final round automatically because this is my bracket. So Capricorns versus Aquariuses. Saturn v Saturn.
Saturn v Saturn. I'm gonna have to go with the sea goat.
Yeah.
I think the sea goat takes it.
I think Aquarius put up a good fight with this one. They did make it to the final three, and that's honestly such an honor just to make it to the final, you know? But
Yeah, I just feel like Capricorn is the general.
yeah. So sorry to the Aquariuses out there. Which gives us Capricorn versus Aries.
This is a really hard one.
Now, I will say, I personally think Capricorn takes this one because Aries is quick to temper, but also quick to kind of give up.
Yeah, I think that really, I think what we're seeing here is the drive of Capricorn.
Yeah, I think the drive of Capricorn carries them through.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so I think we have our champion.
Yeah, and
in
it's
the
Capricorn.
in the battle royale, Capricorn takes it. Um, just thanks to everyone for coming to our hunger style games.
Well, and I love this. It's perfect because we'll do our asks at the end, I think, because I got Capricorn for today's tarot scope.
Oh, congratulations, Capricorn.
And for you, I got the reverse two of crystals in my macabre tarot deck, which is like this. There's a super cute, like little the artwork I really like. So the two of crystals, which is associated with the two of pentacles, but I got it in reverse. So what I'm feeling for y'all is that you are spreading yourselves too thin. Capricorn, it's January. You don't have to do everything this month. I know you're high achieving, but like edit. Y'all need to edit.
You need
That's
to take an editing eye.
you need to take an editing eye because you don't want to half-ass a bunch of things. You want to whole ass like one thing, right? And y'all are great and super like big boss baby energy, but like you're gonna start dropping some of these balls you got in the air if you don't put a few down.
Someone's taking their New Year's resolutions a little too seriously.
That's what I'm feeling. So that's it. I mean, it's a short, sweet tarot scope, mostly because I'm like, I know a lot of Capricorns, and I'm like, y'all know what I mean. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, I mean, I also know a lot of Capricorns, and it's like, yeah, like say less.
Yeah. So yeah. So I guess our asks,
Well,
rate,
let's
review,
just
subscribe.
yeah, rate, review, subscribe. Once and Franz Pod at gmail.com. Instagram is at Wands and Franz Pod. Very active on there. Don't really get a shit ton of emails. I'd love to get an email. I think I'm gonna try to figure out how to post a little battle royale on the Instagram for when the episode comes out.
You definitely should.
So we could do sort of a voter bracket, and then we can see
How it matches up.
how it matches up. So
I feel like we should do it before we release the episode so we can get their input before we give ours.
well, and I have a good amount of free time tomorrow. Like I have one sort of short obligation in the evening, but yeah, I think I'll go ahead and set that up, and we'll see if the Instagram PBs
Come to the same
come to the
conclusions.
same conclusions. um, but with that being said, what do we say to all those cage match fighting warrior
Oh
bitches?
my god, to all you feisty warrior bitches. Blessed be bitches.
Blessed be bitches.
Goodbye.
Bye now.